hope it's going to be okay. Good. Okay, so we're starting chapter 4 in the first section of Derech HaShem. So this parak is titled Matzovei Shel Ha'odam Ba'olam Hazeh, in the state of a person in this world, V'hadrachim Shulafonov, and the ways before him, B'derech Prat, and now in greater particulars, in greater detail. So let's see, Aleph. B'matzovei shel ha'odam ba'olam hazeh yibachanu shnei inyanim. When we're talking about the state of the human in this world, we have to talk about from two perspectives. One, tchunas atzmai shel ha'odam, the nature of the person himself, b'chalokov, and all of his sections, v'harkavosam, and their interactions. Okay? The second thing is v'hamokoim, and then we have to discuss the place, meaning his environment, asher hu musun boy, in which he is placed, b'chol mashem islav aloi, and anything that relates to it. Okay? So we have to look, when analyzing the human condition, we got to look at the human, the way he is, which means the combination of body and soul, this being of this physical being, or whatever it is. We're talking about now, I think we're mostly focusing on post-Adam, the sin of Adam's situation. But also the environment that, what is he surrounded with. So let's see. Base. We're talking about the nature of human himself, the being, Adam himself. We already mentioned that he is a composite, that they were melted in him. I think that means melted. I think that means melted. That were melted in him. Shnei havochim, two opposites. Behind haneshama v'haguf, which is the neshama and the guf, the body and soul. V'ulam, however, hinei anachnu roim beinenu, now we're seeing with our very own eyes, shehachomrius rishoini bo, that the physical, right, is first in him, is primary in him. Right, so this we mentioned back, I don't remember when, right? We were discussing this, that we're looking, we see the person, we really see him as a physical being. We don't see him as a spiritual being, right? And so maybe he told us that the original picture was that it was a 50-50. But right now, the way we see him, that the primary in him is his physical nature. And the result of this is extremely strong. Because immediately after his birth, Kemat kuloi chomri, he's completely chomri, he's completely physical. Right? This is interesting, this is important to internalize, because this is very counter to kind of human, that's, world perception is very different than this. Right? When world perception thinks of a child, of a baby, they think of innocence, they think of purity, they think of almost spiritual creation.
Divinity. Super ego.
What?
Super ego. Psychology covers it. Super ego. That's it.
All right. So he's saying that it's just an empty. It's almost an unintelligent piece of flesh. Okay, it's very cute, thank God. But it's instinctive. It is it's not unintelligent. It's just flesh and blood, a collection of matter, of elements and molecules, right? So he is almost completely chomri. Ve'ena seichel poel boy ela me'at, and the seichel, the mind, the mind acts on this child and him, on her, in very minute ways. Ukefi his gadloi, but as this child grows up, yelech has heichel holech v'chazek, the seichel, the mind, strengthens in him. B'chol echad kefi yonov, obviously in each person, in accordance with his abilities. Val kol ponim, but still in all, lo yosra chomriyos mimshol boy, the physicality does not lose its grip, its dominance over him. and it does not lose its power to pull him towards its aspects. But only if he becomes big in wisdom, and he will learn it, right? And then he will understand the mind. Then he can strengthen to dominate his nature. Okay? And he will not release the resen. Resen is the, what do you call this? What do you guide the horse with? He will not release the belts, whatever, let's call them the belts. I don't know what it's called in there. No? It's not a kid. Let's go. Come on. Anyways, right? So he's not going to release the strings. Let's go the strings of right of his taiva, of his desire from his hands. Right. So he'll always have his taiva, his desire, under control. And he will become strong, and he'll strengthen himself to only walk in the ways of the mind. However, but the nature of things that we see, that in the essence of chomer, in the essence of physicality, that's musoy in its essence, nimtza ha'akirus, we see ugliness, va'achoshech, we see darkness, beteva in its nature. It's by definition something very distant and opposite to something that is in truth. I'm sorry. The nature, just a long sentence. The nature of physicality is opposite to what is desired by somebody who's close to God. Okay? Fairly simple. Okay. So, and those that want to attach themselves to His holiness. Right? So again, like we said, the whole purpose is to become more perfect, more godlike, more, right? So the physicality is the opposite. It's more limited, it's more dark, it's more less pure, it's right. So it's the opposite of what we are trying to accomplish. Good. So that is the state of being. V'haneshama atzma. What about the soul herself? Afal pi shebe'atzma hi zaka ve'elyon. And even though by itself it is pure and it is lofty, v'hikonsa b'guf hachomri, when it enters the body which is physical, v'yistabach boy, and it's tied to it, right, grafted into it. Nimtzeis grusha, it becomes divorced, u'dechuya mi'anyona, and kind of pushed away from its essence. Okay, hativi, which is natural to it, el inyan hafkilo, and it is now bound to something that is opposite to it. Strange. What do you have? El inyan hafki loy or law? What do you guys got in your books?
Law.
El Lamed Vav, right?
Yeah.
So that's bizarre. I mean, I don't know what that means, but before the neshama was feminine. The neshama was, right, it says Nimtza Grusha, she is divorced, and is distanced from her nature, Hativi, El Inyan Hofki Loy, to something that is opposite to him. Right, it should say Hofki Law. Something that's opposite to her, right? If we're talking about the neshama, so I don't know. That's a little interesting. Ukvusha boy, but it is dominated by it. Now it's talking about makes sense. Let's start talking about now the physicality. B'koyach machriach, through this power that was made to dominate the soul. it is not able to free itself from it. It becomes strong with a very strong force. It becomes stronger than this thing that's keeping it down. Right? So the neshama is trying to break free from the domination of the body. But since God decreed that this composite of body and soul should not separate, because even the separation of death is only a temporary separation until the revival of the dead. But after the revival, it has to return to the body. And really, the body and the guf marriage is eternal, forever and ever. Then it should be that the neshama should put in an effort and make itself strong. That it should weaken the darkness of the physicality. It should continuously try to weaken the darkness of the physicality. That the body should become, without darkness. And then the body will be able to be uplifted together with the soul, and to bask in the light, in the lofty light of God. In reward for what she was forced to endure by being darkened and being lowered together with the body in the beginning. So she's gonna be rewarded for the suffering that she has to undergo so the neshama has to go down into the physical body to suffer in its darkness in order to bring it up. And then once it brings up, so it gets rewarded for bringing up the body, plus an extra reward for having to have suffered such a fate as to be in this darkness for the time being. Right? And the neshama has no choice, because the neshama is married to this body forever, so the least the neshama can do is try to get it out of its dirt. However, the person, while in this world he's in one state, that the physicality is very strong in it, and since this physicality is very ugly and dark, so it comes out that the person is this deep darkness, and is very distant from what he was supposed to be. Again, he's going to have like a long. So there's a setup here. It takes a long way to get back. He's kind of going in one direction in order to make a U-turn in a couple of letters. So we have to see how that's going to work out. But anyway, he's very distant from what he's supposed to be. Which is being attached to God. However, but this is what he needs to place his effort in. In order to strengthen his soul opposite the strength of his physicality. So it's very weird how he sets this up. I'm just stepping out for a second. It's very weird how he sets it up. He told us a person is what? A person is a combination of guf and neshama. So where's the person?
The combination.
So is there a person, is there an element called the person that is separate from the guf and the neshama?
No.
There isn't, right?
Yes, without combination, there's no person.
What?
Without combination, no person.
There's no person. So, but, meaning, so who's the person? The mind of the person, right? The mind of the person is the person?
No.
No?
It seems to be. You have to come in the mind.
Okay, so we'll go back to really the same question. What's more of a person, the neshama or the body? Is the body a person? The person?
Part of the person.
I mean, since the physicality is the dominant component.
I mean, if this neshama can enter a metal robot, would I still be the same person? Is there? Okay, but that's really not where I wanted to go with this. I really wanted to go with this is that, so he talks about the body, and it's very dark in physical state. He talks about the neshama, and the very spiritual state, but suffering now with the body. And the neshama has to overpower the body. Good. Now he switches and he talks about the person, okay? Because the now he just switched, right? So this person in this world is very physical, right? Because he's in this physicality, in this dark physicality. And he, the person, has to make an effort in order to strengthen lechazek es nishmosoi, in order to strengthen his soul, neged koyach amroi, opposite his physical self.
I hear the question.
So where is this person? Who is this person?
Who's making the effort?
Right. Is it the neshama that's making the effort, or is it the person that's making the effort?
The combination.
But what's
The
right?
neshama doesn't have a mind of its own.
It's a long shot, but okay. So the Neshama cannot feel, cannot touch, cannot taste. The Neshama cannot do that. You need body for that.
Right.
There was like a story. Some Hasidic Rebbe. He just he used to eat like eggs on Shabbos. It was a Hasidic thing. So one Shabbos, his eggs happened to be spoiled. So he actually sent members of his family to get eggs for Shabbos because he didn't want to eat them for eggs. It's just that he think for Shabbos. So his neshama needed. He wasn't. It's like pure case when you eating, not just before the eating. You eating for spiritual thinking. It's his Shabbat thing.
All right. Okay.
So,
maybe we're on. Perhaps we're gonna get. I want to dig a little deeper into this. So. Okay, so let's leave it at that for now. Now where are we? So this person has to put his effort into this in order to strengthen his soul against his physicality and improve his status in order to raise himself up ad hashir haroyaloi to his rightful state, to his proper place. Good?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one picture. That is the description of the human condition as it is. Right? He's a physical being with his beautiful soul completely subjugated to his physical self. And somehow this soul wants to lift it up. So the person, whoever this person is, perhaps a combination, maybe there's more to it, needs to strengthen the soul over the physicality. Good. Now, second element. Not only is this person physical, and his whole being is physical, v'hamokim, right? Next letter, v'hamokim asher hu b'soicha, the place that he is situated in, gam hu chomri v'choshech, is also completely dark and physical. And everything that exists around them is all physicality. He only sees physical things. So now the activities of this person in this place, in his world, he can only be involved in physical, bodily functions. Anything that he does will be by definition physical. Mm-hmm. Because there's nothing else here. There's only physicality. And his nature, again, going back to his nature is himself, and his I don't know how to translate that. His he translates constitutional forces, but I'm not sure what that means. The combination of his parts. I'm going to just translate it. Harkovas halakov means the combination of his parts. Machrichim loy ha'esik hazeh. They require him being involved in all of this physical world. Because it's impossible for him without eating or drinking, all those natural things that seem to be just, he needs them to live, but they don't seem to provide by their nature, except, what Borda just told us about the eggs and Shabbos. But, but simply speaking, all of these activities that are required for survival, they don't uplift me in any way. They're just, I'm an animal just like an animal. An animal needs to eat and I need to eat. An animal needs to drink and I need to drink, right? These are very physical like actions. Okay? So V'shar and all of his other natural things that he needs to do, and he also cannot live without possessions, and therefore he needs to have, be involved in things that, in order to obtain these things, right? So he's busy. So he is physical by nature. He's pulled towards physicality. He's surrounded by physicality, and his nature demands
more
physicality, right? So how is this being on his way to achieving perfection? How is this being? Where's God's plan in this whole enterprise? It seems it's going in the wrong direction. Okay, so v'nimtza shebein mitzad gufa shel adam, whether you look from the perspective of the body of man, bein mitzad eloma, whether you look from the perspective of the world that he is located in, bein mitzad esaguf, whether you look from his activities, hu tavua, he is a play on word, I believe. Tavua, so the word teva means nature, and the word tavua means drowning. So he's saying, from his nature, hu tavua, he's drowning b'chomer, is drowning in physicality, u'mishuka b'choshkoi, and he is submerged in its darkness. V'amal godol, and great effort. V'hishtadlus, another word for effort. Chazak is very strong. Yitztorich loi, he will require lihis alois al matzav zach mizeh, to a state that's more pure than this. V'umuchrach mitivoi b'inyanim chormim v'ele, while he is at the same time forced to be involved in this natural physical activities. Okay, so now this is the U-turn. So on first glance, the state and the surroundings and the activities of man look very, what's the word? They're downers. They're dragging him down. So let's see. However, from the depth of his counsel, of his wisdom, his Baruch Shmo, blessed be his name, he was able to arrange things in such a way that even while a person is completely submerged in physicality by force, as we just wrote, he is able from within the physicality atzmai itself, and from within the physical activities, hisig es ashlemus, he can grasp the perfection, and he will and the elevation, elazoich, to the purity, velamaila, and to the heights. V'adarabba, and the opposite, hashpalosoi tiyeh hagbaosoi, his descent is going to be his elevation. Umishom yikne yokar, and from there he will acquire this excellence, v'koved, and honor, she'en kamoihu, that is not comparable. B'yois hoifeich es hachoshech lior, because he will be able to transform, to metamorphosize the darkness into light. Ve'asat salmovis, and the death, l'noiga yazriach, into brilliant shine. Okay? Good? Sounds good? Right? So, that's part of the plan, he's saying. There's a part of the plan is that somehow God designed, he didn't tell us how yet, but somehow, by being thrown into this darkness, right, by being completely involved in physical activities, he's going to, the hashpaloso, the descent, is going to be his very elevation. Right? Because he's going to be able to, even amidst this darkness, he's going to be able to achieve the perfection. Okay, so let's see. Vizeh, and this is Ki haboyre yisbarach shmoi som gvulois usudorim le'odam. He arranged boundaries and orders for person. So in every physical activity that exists, Hashem gave, let's call them instructions. He gave form. He gave limitations, right? For every physical activity that exists, there was a tzura, as we just mentioned. A tzura, a form, a shape was given it. Okay, let's see. Ubekavona, she is kaven behem, and the intent that one is supposed to have in them. Asher biyishtamish behem ha'odam. When a person does the physical activity, so he's utilizing this physical world, but he does them according to the instructions, right? The boundaries. And in the proper order. And with that intent, that God had commanded him. So then that physical action, right? Poil shleimus becomes an act of perfection. And from through that action, a person will become strengthen his connection to perfection and his elevation. He will be able to be raised from his lowly status, and be elevated from it. Okay, let's read a little more. And so, however, the great wisdom looked down on everything that's lacking, which is hamutaboyim, which are natural as part of man's existence. And he looked at all of the aspects of elevation, which are necessary for him to attach himself to God, in order to then bask in his goodness. And so when he looked at both kind of opposites, he made these arrangements and these boundaries, that when a person guards them and fulfills them, everything that is necessary from this true perfection will become strengthened in him. And he will let go of anything that is distancing him from the attachment to God. Did anybody get that?
Not quite.
So, what I understood from this is that right. So we understand the status of the world, we understand the darkness, we understand that. But God forget that for a second, okay? And then you saw, okay, this is the darkness, and this is the ultimate light, right? This is the ultimate perfection, and I'm going to connect this ultimate perfection to these boundaries that I set up onto the physicality. So I'm mapping the lofty elements of perfection onto the boundaries of the physicality. So not just he's not saying, what I think he's trying to say in this paragraph is not only that, hey, okay, I'm stuck in this dark world, it's completely physical, right? But you know what? I'm going to give you some instructions. Those instructions are going to be based on mind, right? They're going to be based on intelligence. I'm going to give you some instructions to follow. So therefore, you will incorporate some elements of intelligence into your physical existence. It's the best you could do. It's the best you could do. Right? This paragraph is saying no. That's kind of level one. But no, God looked at the entire playing field from the highest elements of perfection to the lowest elements of imperfection, and was able to connect them in this status. Well, the elements of imperfection wasn't difficult, but even the highest elements of perfection were all mapped onto these simple kind of instructions and limitations on the physical world. Okay, let's see a little more. And now if there wouldn't be this gzeira that the person should die, like we mentioned above, then through these actions, through these limitations on the physical world, through the proper arrangement of their orders, through the intent that a person has in them, the neshama would become stronger with each and every action, and the darkness of the body would be weakened. And then eventually the body would be purified, a complete purification. And then of course the neshama and the body would be elevated to the perfection necessary to attach to God. But since there is a decree, what's the decree? That neshama cannot perfect the body, because first it has to die and then the whole thing has to, right, that we spoke about before. The neshama is not able to perfect the body in this one time. However, still you will see the neshama becomes strengthened by itself, and the body becomes also purified, but bekoyach, in potential. Even though we don't see it expressed, but the body attains the ability, right, in future down the road, when the Tchias HaMeisim happens, to be perfected. And the person acquires a state of perfection, potentially, that will be fully expressed in its proper time. Okay, now the punchline. So what are these arrangements and the boundaries? What are they? That is, these are the commandments. Ha'asein va'alavin, the positive and the negative. Asher kol achas mehen, so each one of them, mechuvenas el tachlis, is pointing to the goal, haknois ba'odam, that is necessary to acquire from man. V'ha'atzim boy achas mimadregois hamaylo ha'mitz shezacharnu, to acquire one of the madregas, one of the levels that are necessary for him of excellence that he needs to acquire. Or v'hasaras echad me'inyonei hachoshech, or to the removal of one of the elements of darkness, v'hachisornes, and lacking. Al yidei poyel hamitzvos aseh hahi, by acting of this positive commandment, oy hamaniya min halois aseh, or the holding back from the negative. Right, so it's okay. Ulam prat hamitzvos kulam, but all of the details of the mitzvahs, v'chein protocol mitzvah, and then the details of each and every mitzvah, hinehem yusodim alamitas mitziyusay v'inyonim shel ha'odam b'chol b'chinosav. They really are set up upon the nature of the person in all of his aspects, v'amitas inyonei hashleimus hamitztorachim, and the true nature of perfection that is necessary for the human being to achieve. Kol dover b'tanav gvulov mashatzarech la'ashlama. So everything is precisely set up in its conditions and boundaries, everything that's necessary for perfection. Now the true wisdom who knows all of these arrangements in truth, and knows the nature of all of the creations, and all of their secondary elements, as it created them. Be'emes hishkiva alakol, looked at everything. It included, incorporated everything that's necessary into the commandments. It is written in the pasuk, etc. That God created all of these commandments in order to benefit us at the end. So what he's saying here is that, I don't know how to say everything, all of it, but the positive commandments and the negative commandments, they are the shapers of the physical reality. And they are designed in such a way as to be able to capture every element of perfection necessary for us to achieve perfection. By subscribing, by limiting, and by giving intent to all of the physical actions that we're doing, whether it is the actions of holding back, which is the negative commandment, whether the actions of positive, doing something, right? They're all set up to act on the physical reality in order to transform that physical reality into an act of mind, an act of spirituality. Right, but the key, I think, the key feature is that he's saying there are so many layers beyond layers and beyond layers that we don't fully appreciate, that connect us all the way to the highest layers of perfection. Okay, I'm not sure. Something that needs to be said. I just don't know how to say it. But maybe next time.